Port cities have always been significant in the Holy Land, from well-known Jaffa, which was mentioned in the Bible as one of the most ancient ports in history, to the magnificent Herodian city of Caesarea. Between these two sits another beautiful beach resort, Apollonia or Arsuf.
Apollonia, which sits right next to Herzliya of our days and very close to Tel Aviv, was a port city beginning from the days of the Phoenicians. But you can actually find here any periods of 2,500 years. You can find here Phoenician traces such as their furnaces and other houses. You can find here a Roman villa, and also you can find here a crusader's fortress and what used to be previously a palace. Well, strategically, it's somewhere in the midst between Jaffa on one hand to Tyre and Sidon on the other hand, and somewhere in between, which was ideal. That's why, and topographically, it's rather higher than the shoreline itself. That's what made the city into what it is.
The history of Arsuf goes back to the Persian period. It was built by the Phoenicians. During the Roman era, the city grew and developed. A good example of that may be this ancient villa, an ancient Roman country house which was used by the Roman elite.
Interesting enough, the term villa in the Roman period, or better say in the Hellenistic Roman period, actually refers to an urban place. Well, in our association, an urban place is a place of many people. But apparently back in the days, a villa that belonged to an individual and had a lot of workers, that's what used to be actually an urban place. Back in the days, the term for a city was called Medina. Could it be that Medina in Saudi Arabia actually talks about a place which is a city literally in the same way that in Arabic the name city means Medina, that's how they use it? Or could it be that the word in French ville, which means city, comes actually from the word villa? Pretty interesting, and nothing really to prove that, but there are many connections to the name and the term villa, which we're sitting on. This lone villa that I'm sitting on right now from the 1st and up to the 2nd century dwells here between the beautiful Mediterranean behind me to the farmlands right in front of me. And back in the days, the way how people used to live was an owner, a rich man. They used to own these properties and land, used to have farmers that plod and work the area around this place where this villa used to dwell up upon the Mediterranean. One of the local jokes over here is that Herzliya, that is well known as the city of villas, this will be the first villa that was built already in the 1st century.
During the Byzantine era, the city continued to flourish. It was home to many Christians and Samaritans, but its heyday came during the Crusader period.
In the Crusaders period, the place becomes well fortified. The fortress that we see in front of us over here, which was previous actually a palace, has become well fortified with half-crescent walls that protected the whole thing. Actually, triple systems of walls that protected this castle, and is the prominent place here in Apollonia.
During the late 12th century, the town almost fell into the hands of Saladin forces, but was returned to Crusader control.
One of the most famous battles was held here on September 7th, 1191, when Richard Lionheart, on his way to Jerusalem, had one of the hardest battles here against Saladin, who were actually defeated. And a third of his army was stricken over here. This battle paved the road to the new Jerusalem kingdom.
The Crusaders continued to rule Apollonia during the 13th century, under the control of the Knights Hospitaller, a famous Crusader order who ruled many sites in the Holy Land. But the downfall of the Crusaders was only a question of time.
1265, one of the most famous battles held over here in Arsuf. That was the name of Apollonia back in those days, where the armies of Baibars has besieged this place where the Crusaders, 2,000 men, were actually staying over here. The siege held for 40 days, and we can see here in this room some tracks and evidence of the destruction and the fire that the victorious Mamelukes forced the Crusaders to actually burn and destroy the place.
The Battle of Arsuf was also attributed to Muslims who controlled the area later in history. This mosque is situated near a tomb reputed to be that of a local saint who died in 1081. The original structure of the mosque was built during the 15th century.
We're standing in front of the famous mosque, which is called Sidna Ali. Literally means our master Ali. And this Ali, which is named Ali Ibn Ulim, that's his name, is also one of the descendants of Ali Abu Talib, one of the first caliphites who arrived over here. Ali died in one of the wars against the crusaders, and this mosque was established afterwards. There used to be a folkloristic holiday where the farmers around over here in the end of the watermelon season used to come into the mosque, and they used to have this custom where they used to tie the eye of somebody that needed to be examined whether he speaks truth or not. And if he was able to speak truth, he would have stretched his arm and touched a black stone right next to the tomb. But if apparently he was lying, he was touching something else, and then he had to pray and repent. Ever since 1990, the mosque is held under the custody of the Muslim Waqf, which became a pilgrimage site for a lot of Muslims who are coming here to pray. An active mosque in the surrounding of Jewish cities in the area such as Tel Aviv and Herzliya.
Today, Apollonia-Arsuf is a national park located by the central coast city of Herzliya. The peaceful and relaxing atmosphere of this beautiful beach gives no indication, not even a hint, of some of the famous battles and bloodshed which occurred here.